everyone. My name is Yude. It's my pleasure to be here, host three of the very prestigious guests to share their view and share their business, especially in the very large Asian region market. The topic we're talking about today is revolutionizing the food supply chain in the new normal economy. So the new normal is actually we are getting used to the COVID crisis. The crisis has been long, and they bring about different challenges in different areas of our business. In food supply chain in particular, we face a lot of uncertainty, and it destroyed a lot of business, but it also provided a lot of new opportunity for us, especially for the internet business to think about. So here we have host three very deep knowledge experts to share their views and their business to our audience. Here we have Takashi-san from Oisix in Japan. Also, thank you, Takashi-san, for coming. We also have Taku-san from Kamereo from Vietnam. Thank you for coming. Lennise from Dropee from Malaysia.
Happy to be here.
Okay, so I think I take the next couple minutes to have our guests to share about themselves and their business. Takashi-san from Oisix in Japan, please share about yourself and your business.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Takashi Okutani. I'm working at the Oisix daichi. Well, my main task is like a C-level task I have, and Chief Omni-Channel Officer. Well, Chief Omni-Channel Officer means that I'm not only taking care of the online business, but also taking care of some offline business. For example, in Oisix, we have a meal kit called Kit Oisix. We kind of distributing those products to the supermarket. And at the same time that I care about like a nursery, have like kindergarten food delivery service, just like for B2B business. So furthermore, that I take care of like corporate communication. So I hope I can briefly explain that what we're doing in Japan, and hopefully that we can communicate with like a company like Kamereo or other companies, and see what's happening in not only in Japan but also in the Asian market. Yeah, that's briefly my introduction.
Lennise, co-founder and CEO of Dropee. Can you please talk about yourself and the business?
Great. First off, thanks guys for having me today on this stage here. Happy to share a little bit more about what we do. So basically, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Dropee. We've been around for close to 5 years now, and our goal here is to revolutionize the way businesses buy and sell in bulk. So we at Dropee are a B2B e-commerce enabler that allows brands, distributors to service local mom and pop store. So whether it's F&B outlets or grocery stores in a faster, better, and smarter, cheaper way. So we use our AI-driven predictive analytics to understand the inventory movement so that auto replenishment actually happens across each store. So this sort of reduce and minimize wastages and also optimize the way that inventories are stocked up on each shelves across these mom and pop stores. So we're currently servicing more than 100,000 mom and pop stores across Southeast Asia today. We have presence in Malaysia and Indonesia, and I'm excited to share a little bit more about what we do and my learnings here over the course of this pandemic.
Next week, it's come to Taku-san, co-founder and CEO of Kamereo. Please share about yourself and the business.
Hi, thanks for having me. So my name is Taku, CEO and co-founder of Kamereo. So I'm Japanese, but live in Vietnam for almost 8 years. So basically what we do is B2B commerce similar to Dropee. But we are more focused on like F&B stores, which is like restaurant, hotel, cafe. I used to run the restaurant business before in Vietnam. And basically in Vietnam, 98% of restaurants are SME, which is like small and mid shop. So they don't have like purchasing volume and purchasing resource and stuff. So basically idea is we try to aggregate the volume from the bunch of stores and directly talk to like farmers, producer and factory, and we do buy bulk and do the warehousing and last mile delivery to the customer. Yeah, so basically we're gonna also try to do like a simpler way, the better way, the cheaper way for the supply chain itself in the food industry for the store in Vietnam. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Taku-san. Last, I introduce myself. My name is Yu De. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Taitan Agriculture. Taku-san is my old friend. We are literally doing very similar business, I'm in Taiwan. We are AI-driven e-commerce platform connecting farm to table, helping the supply chain to be more efficient digitally. Okay, so here comes to our first question. Okay, so please share with our audience what kind of challenges of the COVID has bring about to your business. Maybe we start with Takashi-san.
Okay, we'll explain about what we're doing in Japan under the new normal economy. Well, basically, that the Oisix Daichi is a B2C subscription platform business, and we are serving the fresh organic grocery food to the individual customer. In general, that I think new normal provided a good opportunities for us that make somehow the opportunity of purchasing grocery from online, not only just as safe, but also kind of chance to provide that which I think purchasing the grocery product through online is kind of enjoyable, and also the support that the good kind of enjoyable lifestyle. So for us in general, it's really good chance to expand the business. Well, that's the kind of our current situation. But getting that the COVID-19 is getting more and normal, we have to think about our customers gradually going back to the normal life. So purchasing the product in a supermarket, that means offline. So in my task, I also serving that try to serve that the many meal kit at the supermarket. And also, we also kind of launching the new services like, enjoy the restaurant food in house. Well, that means that, we kind of get a good recipe from the nice Japanese restaurant and then prepare it for as a ready to cook. So like a meal kit. And then customers start to enjoy those products in the house. That's also really good trend. We are kind of expanding the more customer. Hopefully, I can stick to the good customers in longer time. And then I would really hope that we can make that purchasing online and through online, but purchasing the good grocery product is more normal. That's not what we are looking for. Yeah, that's basically what we're doing. Yeah.
How about the challenges Lennise is facing?
Well, in case of the challenges, we have to talk about customers. I said, going back to the normal, and then fortunately, Japanese are getting vaccinated so quickly, and they're happy to going back to that purchasing product in offline. So that means that most of the customer, I have to say that join our platform because of the COVID-19. So that means that we have to think about how to keep their interest, or like how to serve them more and more better way, and to keep our relationship. That's the good challenges. Yeah. Okay. And also that I think in this purchasing some products through online have another kind of problem, like that delivering products through trucks, or like using a lot of packages, and say causing a lot of waste. So in case of SDGs point of view, we have to think about how to minimize those kind of waste. I mean, in terms of food waste, I can make it. We are serving at a very good point, because it's ready to cook. Once you cook, no need to waste anything. But in case of the packaging, we have a lot of waste. So we have to solve that immediately. That's kind of the challenges we are now facing. Yeah.
Thank you, Takashi-san. We might dive into some of the areas later, but I'd like to move the spotlight to Lennise. How about the experience you had in the past 1 or 2 years?
Yeah, so I think the COVID pandemic has really shifted the way businesses procure items, right? At the start of 2020, we've seen that there's a lot of lockdowns happening, not only across like different states, but even cross-border wise, like products are being, the shipments across import exports are being restricted or limited. So what we've noticed is that in Malaysia, a lot of these consumptions like FMCG products or even daily like goods or inventories that F&B owners are actually procuring tends to be from international products. And because of this restriction and the reduction of such movements, this requires like these businesses to look for alternatives. So what happened was that we saw a huge shift in terms of businesses, whether it's F&B outlets, retail outlets, now starting to look for local suppliers in order to actually procure this. Now, the problem with that is that in the past, local suppliers didn't anticipate such demand. So what happened was that they've seen in terms of the supply, they couldn't keep up with the number of demand that's being requested in the market. So, but that was easily resolved over a couple of months, right? But basically, we've noticed is that now, even after 12 to 18 months since when it first started, we've seen that shift, and this shift is here to stay. It's not the fact that, you know, they are going to go back to sourcing for more international products. I think they're pretty much happy with the alternatives, which is quite refreshing to a lot of these local sellers that are providing their products on to these like local retailers as well. But I think another issue that popped up during the pandemic, especially in 2021, that we saw was the request of more credit financing. So a lot of times these businesses, especially when you're working in retail, your cash flow is extremely tight. You'll be super lucky if you have cash at bank for about 2 to 3 months. Typically, you only have about a month cash at bank that could sustain your business, but that's pretty much it, right? And with the reduced traffic of walk-in traffic and whatnot, this significantly has cut the revenue of these businesses. So when it comes to procurement, or when they have like they're looking to actually purchase inventories, they're now looking for ways to stretch their cash flow even more. So typically on average basis, it's on a 30 days credit terms. Now they're requesting for 60 or 90 days, some even 120 days. Now, because suppliers as well do not want to take such risks to provide such or lengthen such credit terms, this is where we come in to facilitate and mediate that. We have all these data and information to show credibility of these mom and pop stores. So that's why we work together with the banks, our financial partners, to actually provide this credit facility for them so that they're able to stretch it even up to 120 days, so that they're able to actually leverage on our platform to roll this cash around and survive throughout this pandemic, and in hopes that in 2022, it's a much better year for them.
Awesome. I think there are a huge risks associated with the supply chain, and I'm glad that there's an innovative way to deal with it. Maybe we can dive into a deeper in some specific area later. And here we go, Taku-san. I think the first time we met, 1 week later, the airport shut it down in 2020. And what was the story after that?
I think I think Vietnam is one of the strict country in terms of like a COVID lockdown and whatever. It's not like they are very strict because they are just like a one government, so they can decide immediately tomorrow shut down, and everyone has to follow, right? So it's maybe similar to China. So as a founder, firstly, it's I mean, everyone is very difficulty, like, you know, like taking care of like, you know, the team, like expectations, you know, because the government change immediately from tomorrow. So we need to adapt many changes every single week or every month and stuff, right? That's happening for like last like 1 to 2 months, 2 years. And then like Vietnam finished the hard lockdown like at the end of the September this year. So it's getting back to normal. And I think a lot of people talk about like, you know, like because of pandemic, a lot of people shift into the online. It's partially true, I feel, but in Vietnam, actually, a lot of people is getting back to offline. The reason why is like I think that Vietnam has a lot of shop and stores. If you look at a number of stores per population, Vietnam is one of the highest in Asia, which means there is a lot of small, medium shop near you. and 99% of people are having their own bike, so they can drive easily. So actually, shifting from offline to online in Vietnam is not as big as other country. That's what I actually feel. And I see a lot of e-commerce players started to do like online grocery and stuff during lockdown, but after lockdown finish, actually like their GMB is going back to like the normal, right? Pretty much normal level. We do B2B, so it's a bit different because B2B is not like no offline shop. No, we anyway deliver, so it doesn't affect so much. But yeah, so that's maybe sounds not interesting, but I feel like it's not really shifting too much for online for the B2C, I feel, in Vietnam. Yeah.
Thank you, Taku-san. Any insight about each other?
Yeah, I have a question for both of you. Well, compared to like B2C business, that means that, I mean, especially like financing issues, and basically once lockdown happened, then, your business will stop, right? Well, how you guys survive? I mean, after that, maybe COVID or like gradually the normal lifestyle is coming back, and I think businesses quickly catch up. Well, I think your business is kind of serving for the great farmers also. So what kind of communication or conflict you guys can solve? I mean, especially in between the farmers, like suppliers, and then restaurants. I mean, I think in case of in Vietnam, it's okay, maybe quickly recover. But how about in Malaysia? Yeah.
Yeah. I can take this first. Thanks for the awesome question. So basically, when it comes to digital adoption, right, you're talking about farmers, fishermen that are generally don't have much tech savviness. And in terms of educations and the privilege to actually have that experience in going online is very, very small. So what we've noticed is that we have a partnership with the local Malaysia Ministry of Agriculture across the last 18 months to enable and gear up more sales, bringing their fishermen and farmers all their local produce online and help them sell. Now, what we've learned is that if you leave them with the tools, they will not do it. They understand e-commerce, B2C e-commerce platforms like Lazada, Shopee. They understand that, but they don't use it, right? And mainly it's because of the behavior. They fear that if this is something that's new that they learn, will this impact their business? How hard is it for learn? They rather not. They rather focus on what they do know. So basically what happened is that over the last 18 months when we noticed this, we actually deploy and started growing a community of what we call local activators. So these local activators, they act as, think of them like consultants, and they are typically situated in rural areas to work face-to-face, hand-in-hand, together with these farmers, fishermen, and it could also be even local retailer mom and pop stores who have no idea how to actually go online, but these guys come there, and typically they're very, very young. So most of our community activators are less than 30 years old. We equip them with a, whether it's an iPad or like a smartphone that is installed with our app in there. So when they actually help provide such services, they help them to place orders or sell onto our platform. So this is something that we do aggressively, in terms of how can we educate them, how can we help them to shift that offline to online. Because even today, like when we even go launch in Indonesia, it's the same thing. A lot of these mom and pop stores, a lot of these traditional businesses, the way that when they look at B2B and digital adoption wise is still very nascent. They still prefer pen and paper. Like, I kid you not, traditional wholesalers, even with big, large international brands like Nestle, Unilever, and whatnot, they still carry a big logbook where they write pen and paper for orders, and they still do that up to date. So we still need some form of education or more aggressive education in the market to help them shift from that offline behavior to online.
I see. I see. So younger staff from your company is supporting the farmers to go into that online market, and that's the way they can survive.
Actually, they're not they're actually not under our payroll. We call them community activator because these guys, they are their own entrepreneurs, right? We provide them the platform, the tools. We even do the trainings for them.
I see.
But they are the ones who goes on ground and service these whether it's farmers and fishermen or even mom and pop stores.
Interesting. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you for your explanation. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
How about you, Taku-san?
I think as a B2B, the how we adapt to COVID is actually very rely on how the government react to the COVID situation, right? In Vietnam, like Vietnamese government shut down all the restaurant, hotel, cafe, and wet market too, right? So only the way our people can buy grocery is actually at supermarket, right? So basically, we shifted to sell to the supermarket because that is only the B2B are merchant who are active during lockdown time. Because we already work with a bunch of farm and they are already growing and harvesting, so they cannot waste it, right? Because there is nowhere to sell because the wet market even closed. So our job that time is maybe I'm not gonna make a lot of money out of it, but I mean to make our relationship with farmers sustainable and also help each other. We just talk and like we sell to the supermarket. And then that business is still going on like after lockdown. So that is one of the kind of pivot we have to do during lockdown because they are the people who are buying vegetable at the time. Yeah.
I see.
Actually, Taku-san, I have a quick question in terms of this. I read it somewhere in an article saying that this is pre-COVID, right? The typical method for communities in Vietnam is to actually buy their groceries off mom and pop store. So it's different from Singapore, Malaysia, where you already have large retail chain outlets like hypermarkets and whatnot, where they go into that. So a lot of these communities still prefer to buy from small mom and pop store. So in this case, during the pandemic, is it true, like when you said that the government is forcing these shops to shut down and close, and the only way for communities to purchase from supermarkets that's a quite significant shift, no? Because a lot of people rely on mom and pop stores to be their central or their normal way to procure their essential goods.
Yeah. So believe it or not, that's true. So because the reason why is like a lot of COVID case happen from the wet market. Because a lot of people go and they talk and they communicate, right? And like those are so actually all the papa mama shop who are selling vegetable is actually within the wet market. So usually each district of Vietnam has at least one wet market, and before COVID time, like people go that wet market and buy, right? But a lot of wet market is actually a hot spot. Like a lot of COVID case happen in the wet market. So government decide wet market is one of the reason COVID is increasing. So they shut down all the wet market. Then still a lot of people hesitate to go to wet market now actually. So it's a huge change actually. And actually there was trend already from the before COVID time. Actually in Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi, like big city, modern trade ratio compared to traditional trade ratio is actually some people say modern trade is more than traditional trade already. Of course, there is no 100% accurate statistic about it, but actually Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi is more and more modern trade world now.
Interesting.
Cool. Thank for the very blended discussion, and I'd like to shift gear to a more specific question about your coping strategy. I think the audience will be very interested in how you see the strength of your business that you use to leverage to strive during the COVID. Also, how you see in the challenge that you might still need to use those strengths to overcome the coming challenges. So in particular, I like to, I'm very curious about the Oisix way because, the difference between you and the rest of us is that you have existed for more than 20 years and there are multi-crises in the past 2 decades. Okay. So in a longer history than us, you must have endured crisis over time. what's difference between this crisis and the past experience?
Well, especially in Japan, I was considering about the past crises, that a big earthquake in the year 2011 has happened, right? Well, but I don't want to say that, but I have to say that, somehow that the big crisis kind of, stimulate the customers, or reconsider that how to purchase the same product. Well, then in the online business or technology acceptance will support a lot for the many customers. Well, like in as the tax said in Vietnam, I think the web market is not really good, and maybe gradually they start to use the technology, or even a supermarket start to purchase the product like your tax company. Well, so gradually that all the people even in Japan start to use the online business. I mean, online platform to purchase and waters, heavy stuff, and then they start to concerning why bother to go to the supermarket to buy heavy things, and might have to get infected from the COVID. So somehow that those kind of the critical phase is at the period that the Oisix is somehow express our business, how our business is good, and that's kind of the core competence can be that appear very efficient way. So I hope this kind of crisis not quite over happen. I don't want to do that, but somehow through that some of the crisis, each crisis, and customer gradually accept the technologies or using the digital platform. That's really for me for us it's really good trend. They say that why bother to purchase things in offline. They start to think about purchasing such a grocery product. Many Japanese still think going to the store and buy things or touch and feel and evaluate what the fresh product is, and well, that's still the ordinary thing, but gradually that as customers getting and working in home, and I think even after the COVID, customers' lifestyle, especially work style, will maybe spend more time in home. Well, that means that they're busy in home, they have to housekeeping, and they have to cook. Well, then since we already launched the meal kit called Kit Oisix, and also they as I said, they get used to purchasing grocery products through online. So I think that those big trend is kind of accelerate our business and one more. And then just like you guys company, we kind of keep up into the farmer. Just let's have a direct business to us. We'll commit to the price. We have a customers. More than 300,000 customers especially in Oisix it exists. Yeah, they purchase the product more than 50% of the customer purchase it every week. When they why bother to go for the normal market? If you growing at the carrot a lot, and if the growing quantity is too high, then the prices go down. We have a commitment to price. So both commitment to not only the farmer, in case of customer. Yeah, we committed to deliver the safe and a nice product every week or every other week. Why bother to go to the supermarket? Well, that kind of communication was really tough 20 years ago, but now it's getting more easier and easier. So I hope that we can, more from now on, that expanding our business not only in Japan, but also the Asian market, and also the US and the European market. Yeah.
Thank you, Takashi-san. I'd like to change the spotlight to Taku-san. You mentioned that during the COVID, it's very impressive that you launched the B2C and quickly pivot, and now you are sustaining the business with the supermarkets. There are quite a few pivots. So what challenge did you face during the pivots, and do you see any more opportunity with the next phase and next kinds of B2C collaboration or opportunities? What do you see about this?
Yeah, so when the COVID happened, we didn't know that time. There's no vaccination and stuff. We didn't know anything. We don't know who is the enemy, right? And how to react to enemy, we don't know. That time, we started the B2C business. I think which a lot of similar business across the region also did the same reaction to the COVID. And B2C business was growing every week, every month that time. And but as a business for long term, right? I think we discuss a lot internally, but the value proportion for B2B and B2C is not really the same. The B2B that we try to be like cheaper and faster and the one-stop platform and stuff, but B2C is many various reasons for them to buy, right? And the reason why we grow the B2C business during that time is actually because they don't have much choice other than us. Because a lot of web market is closed and stuff, of course they buy online. But after the web market and supermarket reopen again, basically they go back to their habit again, right? So I feel, and also like as a company, I mean like as a startup, we don't have much resource and money spending for various business line. So actually we decided to focus on only B2B, but actually we still want to do like B2C, like which is like, you know, we supply to supermarket, but supermarket is selling under our brand name or to the consumer. So that was actually one of the big learning, and then maybe it was mistake, but I learned a lot about what is the body proportion for this business. Because if the body proportion is different for the business A and B, basically we need to create a different strategy, a different team for both business line, and which is super hard for especially early stage startup. That's why we only gonna focus on B2B, because B2B is something my passion, which I started like about earlier, like 3 years ago. And so that we decided, we learned, we're gonna focus on one thing, like a very like laser focus on one thing. Maybe later, once we get bigger, we might open different business line. But at the moment, we should focus on one business line. That's what I learned.
Cool. Thank you, Taku-san.
Yeah.
Lennise, during COVID, Dropee has worked with fishermen and farmers to allow them to stay in business, like you just mentioned. For Dropee, it's a broader business, and F&B is part of it, or the agriculture or grocery e-commerce is just part of it. So how do you see a difference between, you know, this kind of agricultural product and other kind of retail? And how do you really, you know, evaluate different part, and what's a unique in this kind of F&B segments?
Yeah, there are only two key differences. So one is the way that the products are being delivered and being fulfilled, mainly because agricultural products is fresh items, some of them are frozen items. So the way that you handle it is very different from dry goods. So because of this, that it requires a little bit more care and attention to handle the delivery and fulfillment of fresh and frozen items. This means that the fulfillment costs, it's more expensive than dealing with dried goods, right? So that's one, the key difference. Second of all is the frequency of orders. So typically, your F&B store is very different from grocery stores, where grocery stores will have sections where they can store additional products to sell. And the shelf life is typically 12 months, sometimes even more. So it doesn't matter, right? They can stock up more in advance and that's it. Whereas for F&B outlets, you can't afford to do that. You only have very limited storage space, and you need to consume or at least use the inventories of what you procure on that day in itself, or ideally that week in itself, right? So that gives rise to a lot of optimization of how can we actually use our platform to enable these wholesalers, distributors, sometimes even farmers and fishermen to deliver and do drop-offs to all these F&B outlets, to all these areas, so that they can optimize that cost. As mentioned, right, dealing with fresh products and frozen products is more expensive than dried goods. So that's something that, you know, it requires a huge amount of data aggregation, bias aggregation, to understand that purchasing behavior before we can even like advise where to drop off which location first to optimize their routings and whatnot.
Thank you, Lennise. It's very insightful. So I like to switch gear to more future focus. Okay. The first question go to Takashi-san.
Yeah.
You guys are the market leader in Japan, Oisix, and you also made a couple acquisition activities in the global market.
Mhm.
Okay, so how do you see the difference between Japan and some other regions, and what's your view about your global expansion?
I see. Well, yeah, especially the food subscription business model. I mean, not only in Japan but also like the US and Europe is of course very growing, and also of course in Asia also. Yeah. But from our point of view, that well, I think the US and European market has a lots of opportunities as a Oisix, maybe just to deliver or like to give some knowledge to how to produce that Japanese milk. So there's a lot huge market potential is in Europe and US. But just simply watching through like a business like HelloFresh or Weapon, those kind of things. Well, they are very good at acquiring money, gathering money, and get lots of customers. But these kind of businesses, main key point is LTV and retention. Well, in case of retention LTV, I think Japanese companies, quite doing a quite good job. So I think one of the good synergies, we can collaborate with Papu Carrot is that point. I mean, Papu Carrot business is kind of small, but the COVID-19, their business is growing, and then also we give some good tips, to keep the business healthy. So that's really working well. And also, we got lots of knowledges from Puff Carrot, for example, like producing that vegan meal kit. And in terms of vegan meal kit, the market is not quite mature in Japan. But in case of our customer, Oisix customer, is very sensitive about the food, and also they are very keen about kind of food culture in all over the world. So those kind of customers are purchasing that vegan meal kit for one day, maybe dinner or something. So we kind of launching marketing campaign with a 1 day vegan campaign. Well, why bother to just eat every day meat and fish? Maybe just one night, just enjoy the vegan. Well, that's kind of gradually accepted in Japanese market. So maybe by not exchanging the knowledges in European market and in the US market and Japanese market, yeah, we have a lot of opportunities. So hopefully we can get more collaboration with the US European companies. But on the other hand, once we considering that the Asian market, especially in the Oisix overseas business, we still have not enough. I mean, hard time. We still have a hard time because, well, they are happy to purchasing Japanese fresh foods or like our Japanese crab, those kind of product we simply export, and they can simply get it and eat. But in case of cooking thing, as you guys already know, the kitchen space is small, and if you go to the B2C, I mean, just restaurants or nice cheap food are already in the market, so that's ready to eat product a lot. So I think we have to think about we have to more, how to say, conduct more marketing, like cooking is cool, or I think it's all the country like Europe and Japan, they love cooking, so unless to do that, because price-wise is very difficult and procurement is still limited, in order to make that our best meal kit, like Japanese style meal kit. So I think in the Asian market, we really have to find the good partners, just to collaborate, especially to cultivate the B2C markets. So in that aspect, yeah, we really looking for like, maybe good partner like you guys or other B2C platformers, Well, otherwise, I think we cannot survive in the Asian market.
Yeah. A quick question for Takashi-san, right? Like,
Yeah.
do you find fulfillment to be, do you do your own fulfillment, or do you partner with third-party logistics to actually support that?
Well, in case of Hong Kong, we do our own. But in case of China, it's a very, very huge, strict restriction to export our goods to China. So we find out the partners like farmers, organic farmer in China, and then we use those products, and then procure those products and then made a meal kit in China. So yeah, each country has anyway, agriculture is a very governmental issue, so it's not easy just simply say, our apple is very nice, our apple is healthy, but it's very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
we-
leads to, maybe I know we have short of time, but I'm more interested also to understand how do you guys ascertain quality? Because you're dealing with farmers, right? And you're making sure that these products listed on the shelves of these stores are of this good quality because it's your brand.
Yeah.
How do you do so? Do you have someone who checks?
Well, of course, we have to, somehow export our knowledge or know-how about the quality control. And we kind of, try to hire the customer, that the employee that, eager to understand our quality standards. So, yeah, I think, some human development is very, very, very important. And, they have to follow our rule and, they know how to prepare the meal kit. But still, I think we need more time, just to get more good people and, teach them and, and I think our Japanese should go more for the overseas department and, take care about the, business in Hong Kong or China. Yeah. Well, in case of, Papa Carrot, they have their own way to cook. So that means that the only way we do this is somehow just provide a software, like, recipes and those kind of things. And I think they can somehow catch up with our quality. But in case of Asia, it's quite difficult. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Thank you, Takashi-san. And then this question, Taku-san. I think that our guest also mentioned about many aspects about the government restrictions. Also mentioned about the importance of a quality control, especially in the production area. It apparently become more important in the market like Vietnam. How do you see those two areas, especially in your future expansion and growth?
So I think the quality control is important, but cannot be perfect. I feel like there is a machine to check the whatever is inside stuff, but it's super expensive. So only a big company like a Dole invest tons of money for that, but that machine only can detect one SKU. Right, so we cannot buy a lot of machine for each SKU. That's impossible, right? So I did the research, but I don't think it's a good idea to do so because we have tons of SKU, right? So we still rely on people to check the quality from outside. Also cutting some of the sample and to check the inside. That sounds like very manual, but if we invest tons of money for the machine, we cannot get back the money with the margin of selling the veggie. So that is actually the realistic way to do so. And I think one of the things we're gonna do, actually we are already planning to do in the future, is going up to the as much as upstream of the supply chain. So basically we're gonna try to invest more fulfillment center in farming area where we can go visit farm easy, and also farm come to our fulfillment center easy, and we have more cross communication, we have more cross check together, because sometimes I think it happens often in e-commerce business that you deliver and after one day customer complain, but I'm not sure this is your what is the root problem, right? So because we are solving the problem, but we're not sure what is the root problem, right? So I think our mutual check is one of the way we can make sure what is the problem here and how we solve the problem, right? So we are keep doing Kaizen every day, every single day, every moment. To do so, I think we can try to set up more facility in farming area to check more. That's basically the direction we are thinking now.
Thank you, Taku-san. Lennise, Dropee has grown, pretty impressively to 100,000 mom and pop shops, and you also grown out of Malaysia to Indonesia. And how do you see your future expansion? What's your ambition and your plan of doing so?
Over the last couple of years, ever since we started Dropee, it's super important for startups to really understand where your core competency is. What are you amazingly great at compared to everyone else? And for us, at the end of the day, our DNA has always been able to provide that amazing quality service and build that service to build a long-lasting relationships with both buyers and sellers on our platform. So to answer your question, like because of that stemming from our core competency, so in the future, whatever that we're going to do is to actually improve the relationship and to build and strengthen that ties. Similarly to what Taku-san is actually, talked about, having each little hubs across these different areas to actually understand and be closer to the source, right? Similar to us, we've already have that community activators. They are the ones who are now going on ground, providing such service and whatnot. We're planning to invest more in that so that we can train more consultants, more individuals, so that they're able to enable this digital adoption from offline to online even better. Now, because we understood that in B2B, it's very much reliant on relationships. Businesses don't tend to shift. The switching cost is very high once the relationship is built. So that's why we want to invest heavily a lot of that, because we're very, very strong in providing that amazing service, that amazing quality sort of like attention to these both buyers and sellers, so that both of them are able to actually, at the end of the day, why businesses go online, or what do they want at the end of the day? They just want more revenue. They just want more sales. And if we're able to help them to do so in an easier way, in a seamless way, and also improving their brand value over time, that's a winner already. So that's something that we'll plan to invest across countries as we expand and grow as well.
Thank you, Lennise. We are running out of time. I hope that our guest has provided very insightful information and knowledge to our audience. So thank you again for our guests to be here and sharing your expertise to our audience. So is there any last comments you want to share with the audience? Takashi-san, Taku-san, and Lennise?
From me, I'm happy to talk with you, and I hope that from this session that we have a more touch point with our communication or interactive business somehow talk hopefully to the Asian market, because in our case that we are not only interested in the online food business, but also B2. Well, we are good at B2C, but we are of course interested in learning more about the B2B business. And also, of course, we are more interested in like a food innovation business also. Well, if there's such a companies, such a, opportunities exist, hope you can get communicate more, And hope, thank you very much for the time, to talking, having this kind of session. Hope we can communicate furthermore longer. In the future.
Certainly. Thank you, Takashi-san. How about Taku-san?
So thanks a lot for having me. It's a great opportunity for discussing about the topic in F&B. And I think the startup journey is always keep learning. And I think learning from the different region is one of the things very important, because of course, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Japan is different, but from the difference we can learn something. Maybe I can share something too. So I think that is really a good opportunity for me. So thanks a lot.
Lennise?
Yeah. So I'm a firm believer that, the future of this digital transformation across the supply chain, whether it's food, FMCG, etc., it's not a one-man show. It requires a development or a build of an ecosystem with multiple players working collaboratively and working cohesively with one another. So we at Dropee are definitely very open to collaborate with interested parties who share the same vision and mission as we do. We see that digital solutions, technology is an enabler, is the tool to help businesses to elevate themselves, for them to be able to improve the way that they actually do business, whether it's in terms of service, quality, or increasing their revenue. So anyone who wants to be in touch with me, feel free to reach me out on LinkedIn. I'm super appreciative that to be on this panel session today. Had a lot of insights. Thank you, Takashi-san and Taku-san, and thank you, Yuta. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's amazing moderation. But yeah, thanks, guys. It's a fun time.
Thank you, guys. So thank you, audience, for watching the video later on. Okay, have a good day. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.